Greetings, schools, and welcome back to another talk about horror television. Tonight we're taking a look at the pilot episode of the hit show Are You Afraid of the Dark? And boy, is it a goodie. With the nice weather of the summer swiftly approaching, I felt the need to dust off this old episode. We're going hiking, one of my favorite summer activities, especially when the weather is nice and the crowds are low. In tonight's tale, two brothers get lost in the woods, and they are met with something very, very strange. We get right into the tale of the Phantom Cab. Woo! We meet Denny, the big guy, and Buzz, the geek, who tries his best to prove his worth to his big brother. The two guys are hiking around a green, creature-filled forest, and of course, they're lost. Buzz spills his water on the map by accident, and his brother gets big mad. But Buzz thinks he knows where they are still. He's looking down at the compass, and unknowingly nearly falls to his death off a cliff. Denny gives him a helping hand, thank goodness. The little guy's clumsy, just like me. They continue on, but the two guys are lost for sure. The coldness of night is approaching. We learn that Buzz has been using the compass wrong since he was holding it close to his belt buckle, which is metal, and it threw off the magnetism of the compass. So furious, Denny really starts to freak out now, and understandably the little guys start sprinting off in the correct direction to get back to town. They're really cold, and there's no way to know if they're going the right way, or if they'll get through the night out in the chilly woods without jackets. They start to realize how screwed they actually are, and this is when they spot someone approaching with a flashlight. Denny hopes it's a ranger. Buzz suspects it's a masked serial killer with an axe. We meet the guy with the brights. His name is Flynn, a fellow traveler. He tells them they're far away from town, but he can show them to someone who will help them. It's a good doctor, he says. And then Flynn starts walking off. The kids have no other choice but to follow him. They follow the strange man through the woods in the dead of night. So against their best wishes, they're walking and walking. They're surprised by the place Flynn brings them. It looks like something a hobbit or Snow White's dwarves would live in. They take a good look at the place, and Flynn tells them to be careful if they ask the old doctor for something, because the price might be steep. Flynn chuckles creepily and then disappears into thin air. They have no choice but to go inside and try it out. Perhaps the good doctor has a phone or something. There's something horrifying creeping from all around them. Like the plants are cackling at them and they wig out. The old Dr. Vink is at the door. The doctor asks the kids if they're any good at riddles. They're stunned, but the man lets them inside to warm up. It's creepy and science-y and cool in there. He also offers them some tea. Dr. Vink takes out a wild boar brain and starts showing it off to the children. The doctor inquires about the riddles. Denny, the older one, wants no part in the riddling games, while the doctor and Buzz seem really into it. There's no getting out of the woods without some riddles, it seems. And the first riddle is fitting. How far can you walk into the woods? Buzz is quick with the answer. It's halfway. Then you either have to walk back or walk out. Thanks, Doc. I hate it. So the kids have to solve another riddle if they want to call their parents. And if they don't solve the riddle, they must leave. Simple enough, I guess. The kids agree to the riddle and the doctor gets pumped up like crazy. He's really mad, this guy. Vink wants to know what is lighter than air, can be seen by the naked eye, and if you put it in a barrel, it makes the barrel lighter. So what do you guys think it is? Leave me a comment if you can guess it. I couldn't, I had to look it up, but whatever. So the kids don't know it, and as soon as they admit they don't know, Vink gives them a very cold shoulder and tells them to leave immediately. The kids ask him for another riddle, but that won't do. Dr. Vink tells them the directions to a taxi cab stop in the middle of the woods. The kids don't believe it, but the old man assures them he isn't messing around. They have to hurry to get to the cab on time, but the kids continue begging. The children will have to leave a specimen if they want to use the phone, Dr. Vink says. And then he takes out the hand in a jar. A phone call for a hand, that is high price. The kids ran like lunatics away from the cabin, and they followed the directions the creepy old man gave them. They're surprised as ever when they see a taxi cab in the middle of the woods that stops to pick them up. The taxi cab driver is none other than Flynn from before. What's even more horrifying is he's looking very pale and ghastly, and just wait until you hear his plan. He's shredding the gnar in the taxi cab through the forest. Who knows how fast, but very zippity indeed. Flynn fills us in. He gives rides to folks who can't solve the doctor's riddles. For 40 years, he's been driving those who fail to figure it out. Flynn got his hand chopped off by the evil doctor. He's dead and cursed to relive his death. Every night, there's someone new who fails to answer Vink's riddles. The kids have no time left, but they need to figure out the riddle in the next 30 seconds or they're a goner. The youngest thinks it through, and the final answer is a hole. That's the correct answer to the riddle, and the children are saved. Denny appreciates his smart younger brother and thanks him for saving their lives. Then another set of headlights comes out from the dark, desolate forest. It's a ranger coming to save the boys. Their parents and the whole town was in an uproar looking for them. When the kids brought the ranger back to the old cabin of Dr. Vink, all they found was an empty stone foundation covered in weeds. Very mysterious and cool. I'm so happy that the pilot of this amazing show is so good and has tons of rewatch value. I'm going to happily rate this one a 9.3 out of 10 for the series Are You Afraid of the Dark? They do a great job of setting the tone for what was to come, and we got to meet the original campfire crew, which is great. The show quickly establishes the gist of the series. I thought the Midnight Society was such a cool idea as a kid. A bunch of cool kids meet at nighttime in the woods to tell scary stories around the campfire. That would have been very up my alley, but fortunately I just watched this show instead. This one isn't as scary as some of the others, but it's probably enough to scare a young child half to death. I know it scared me, especially the part where the cab driver Flynn twists his head around towards the back seat while driving like the girl in The Exorcist. Yeah, that's a lot. The set and locations were perfect. I love when horror-themed shows utilize wilderness as their setting. It's a perfect place for horrifying things to happen. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, as Robert Frost puts it, no? This was the first episode, and it's funny that Dr. Vink makes an appearance. We see him often as a recurring character on the show, and he seems to have wildly varying interests and professions over time, which is funny. In this episode, he was probably the scariest I've seen him yet, at least that I can remember, but I'm not completely caught up, so we'll see if that changes. I'm having a blast covering this old show from my childhood. It's humbling how quickly life goes by, and before we know it, we relate more to the old Dr. Vink than the pesky kids knocking at our door late at night. Very well, so enjoy yourself, ghouls, as life is ever fleeting. I hope you and your family take much safer nature hikes than these two, though the adventure was worth it since they made it out unscathed. Big thank you to my patrons for supporting today's video. If you'd like to help out, please consider donating a few bucks per month over on Patreon or on YouTube as a membership. I really appreciate it. If you have any episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark that you're dying to see covered on the channel, please let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much. Be well, everyone, and most importantly, stay spooky.